My sister wore a white dress to my wedding and is now posting lies about me being a bridezilla on social media. So, I, female, 30, got married to my husband David, male, 32, 2 weeks ago after being together for 5 years. We moved in together 3 years ago, and everything has been really good between us. Like, he's genuinely the most supportive person I've ever been with. Not really relevant to the problem, but just wanted to give some background, I guess. The issue is with my younger sister Alyssa, female, 27. She's been trying to be a lifestyle fashion influencer for the past 4 years and has around 85K followers now. I'm happy for her success or whatever, but it's basically consumed her entire personality at this point, and it's made existing family issues way worse. Some context: Alyssa has always been the golden child in our family. Our parents have consistently prioritized her over me since we were kids. I'm not even exaggerating. Like when I graduated high school, my parents threw me a small party, and Alyssa suddenly sprained her ankle right as guests were arriving. The whole party became about her, and my dad ended up taking her to get ice cream while my mom fussed over her on the couch. My graduation was basically forgotten. Or when I was in college and Alyssa borrowed my car without asking while I was home for the weekend. She returned it with a huge dent in the bumper, and when I got upset, my parents told me I was being selfish and should be more understanding because she was going through a rough time. She had broken up with her BF of like 3 weeks. They ended up paying for the damage, but Alyssa never even apologized and rolled her eyes whenever I brought it up. Anyway, despite all this history, there's so much more, but this post would be 10 pages long. I still asked Alyssa to be a bridesmaid in my wedding. Not maid of honor, obviously. That was my best friend Jenna, who I've known since 3rd grade, but still in the bridal party. I honestly thought maybe it would help us bond or something. I don't know, maybe that was stupid of me. The wedding planning process was rough. Alyssa missed 2 dress fittings that we had scheduled months in advance. She complained constantly that the sage green bridesmaid dresses I picked were unflattering for her skin tone. They looked beautiful on everyone, and I let them all pick the style they wanted, just needed the same color. She showed up 45 minutes late to the rehearsal dinner and spent most of it taking selfies and barely participating. But the actual wedding day was a complete disaster. About 30 minutes before the ceremony was supposed to start, my mom called me saying Alyssa was running late. I was already stressed trying to get ready. When Alyssa finally arrived, she walked in wearing a floor-length white gown with a small train and rhinestone details. It literally looked like a wedding dress. I'm not kidding. I asked Alyssa what she was wearing and where her sage green dress was. She told me it had a tear and couldn't be fixed in time, so she had to wear something else. My mom immediately jumped in making excuses for Alyssa and reminding me that guests were already seated. Jenna, bless her, pointed out that the white dress looked brand new and was clearly custom fitted for this event, not a last-minute replacement. Alyssa immediately got all teary-eyed and asked if I was being dramatic over just a color and if I wanted her not to be in the wedding. David's sister offered to lend Alyssa a blue dress she happened to have in her car, but Alyssa refused, saying it wouldn't match her aesthetic. Like what? What aesthetic? It's my wedding. At this point, we were actually running late and my mom was giving me these pleading looks, and I gave in. I didn't want to start my marriage with a huge fight, so I reluctantly agreed to proceed. And I swear when I turned away, I caught Alyssa smirking slightly. I still replay that moment in my head. During the ceremony, Alyssa kept repositioning herself to be more visible in photos. Like the photographer would set us up in a certain way, and she would subtly shift to be more centered. During family pictures, she insisted on certain poses that put her front and center. The photographer looked confused, but went along with it because she was being super assertive. The reception was even worse. Alyssa gave this really uncomfortable toast, mentioning several of my ex-boyfriends and making jokes about how David was finally settling down with the sensible sister. Everyone did that awkward half-laugh thing where you can tell they're uncomfortable. And then she spent most of the reception taking selfies and having guests take photos of her for social media. She even interrupted our first dance to ask someone to take a picture of her reacting emotionally to it. I tried to enjoy our honeymoon despite feeling upset about everything, but we got back a week ago and I discovered that Alyssa has posted heavily edited wedding photos on Instagram portraying me as a total bridezilla. According to her posts, I supposedly had multiple meltdowns over minor details, body-shamed the bridesmaids with unflattering dress choices, and was obsessed with being the center of attention. These posts have gotten thousands of likes and comments from people sympathizing with poor Alyssa for having to survive her sister's wedding. I've gotten texts from mutual friends asking if I'm okay and referencing things that never even happened. It's making me feel like I'm going crazy. When I called my parents for support, they basically told me to let it go because that's just how Alyssa is, and social media is her career. But this isn't just some silly argument. She's literally posting lies about me to thousands of people. And wearing a white dress to my wedding was a deliberate choice to upstage me. David thinks I should demand she take the posts down and post a public apology, but I'm worried about causing an even bigger family rift. My parents will definitely take her side like they always do. But at the same time, I don't want all these people thinking I'm some horrible bridezilla when that's not what happened at all. Am I overreacting here? What should I do? I feel like I'm going crazy, and I'm so hurt that my own sister would do this to me on what was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life. Edit. A few people have asked about the photographer's pictures versus what Alyssa is posting. The professional photos aren't ready yet. Photographer said 4 to 6 weeks, but the ones Alyssa is posting are heavily filtered selfies and pics that her friends took. She's adding these long, dramatic captions about how some people show their true colors under pressure and stuff like that. She's been posting 1 or 2 stories every day about some new incident from the wedding that either didn't happen or is completely twisted from reality. To those asking why I didn't stand my ground about the white dress, honestly, I've spent my whole life being told I'm too sensitive or making a big deal out of nothing when it comes to Alyssa. In the moment, with everyone staring at me and my mom practically begging me to just go with it, I froze. I know I should have been firmer. Believe me, I've replayed that moment in my head about 1,000 times since the wedding. Several people have asked about past instances where she's done similar attention-seeking things. There are so many. Like at my college graduation dinner, she announced she had been scouted by a modeling agency. She wasn't. At my engagement party, she spent the whole time talking about a breakup she'd had 3 months earlier. Once, I got a promotion at work, and when I told my family at dinner, she immediately started crying about how she was failing at life. So the whole conversation turned to consoling her. It's a pattern that's gone on my entire life. Now for the first update. So a lot has happened since my post 2 weeks ago. I'm still kind of in shock about everything. First of all, thank you so much to everyone who commented and messaged me. I decided to follow what most of you suggested and try talking to Alyssa privately first before doing anything drastic. So I called her 3 days after my post, last Monday. And honestly, I was trying so hard to stay calm and reasonable, even though I was fuming inside. The call went badly. I told her that her posts were really hurtful and contained lies about the wedding. She cut me off with a laugh and said she was just sharing her experience. And that's what social media is for. When I pointed out things that were made up, like her claim about Bridezilla meltdowns, she said, I probably don't remember correctly because I was too stressed during planning. When I asked her to take the posts down, she laughed and said they were getting her lots of engagement. I mentioned I contacted our wedding photographer and was getting the full album soon, which would show what really happened. Her tone changed immediately and she got quiet. Then she basically threatened me, saying she has many more stories she could share if I wanted to play it that way. I asked her what she actually wanted from me. Money, an apology. What would make this stop? She just said she wants me to stop being so controlling and ended the call. I was shaking after that, but it gets worse. Instead of removing anything, Alyssa has turned this into a series on her page called My Sister's Wedding Nightmare, with multiple parts now. Last Thursday, she was a guest on this wedding drama podcast and told completely made-up stories. She said, I forbid bridesmaids from wearing makeup that might outshine the bride, and that I had a breakdown when the caterer brought wrong appetizers. The caterer didn't bring wrong appetizers. I even helped the catering staff set up some food displays because I worked in catering during college and know how stressful big events can be. Her follower count has jumped from 85K to like 120K in 2 weeks. She's gotten 3 new sponsorships with wedding-adjacent companies, and now she's selling Bridezilla survival kits through affiliate links. She's making money off of lying about me. I got in touch with our wedding photographer, who was shocked when I told her what was happening. She rushed our photos and sent me the complete unedited wedding album last week. The photos are damning. There are many shots of Alyssa in that white dress, positioning herself to be in the center of photos. There's a series where you can see her taking selfies during the ceremony. And the worst one is this shot where you can see her directing the photographer's assistant away from capturing our first dance so she could get in position for her own pictures. When I was looking through my phone for any videos from the wedding, I found old texts from Alyssa to her friend from 3 months before the wedding. I had borrowed Alyssa's old phone when mine was being repaired last year, and the cloud backup restored some of her messages when I logged back into my account. In the texts, she told her friend she was planning something that will finally get me noticed and discussed wearing white because it would create shareable content. She planned this. It wasn't a last-minute wardrobe emergency like she claimed. She deliberately set out to ruin my wedding for content. This past weekend, I tried to have an intervention with my parents. I showed them the photographer's unedited photos and videos, and they looked uncomfortable, but still suggested that both girls were partly at fault. Then I showed them the text messages showing Alyssa planned this months in advance. My dad said the texts could be taken out of context. I asked them if they've seen Alyssa's social media posts, and my mom admitted they have, but said it's just how influencers talk. Then I found out the real reason they won't stand up to her. Alyssa has been giving them money monthly from her successful influencer business. My dad basically said they can't risk Alyssa's career because they've become financially dependent on her. I was speechless. I just got up and left because I realized they're never going to take my side as long as they're getting paid not to. Yesterday, Alyssa posted a fake apology video that actually contained more accusations, including photoshopped screenshots of text messages that make it look like I was being demanding during wedding planning. She edited texts we exchanged about bridesmaid dress fittings to make it look like I was forcing everyone to lose weight. The actual texts were just about scheduling times that worked for everyone. This has started affecting me professionally. I work at a marketing firm and several coworkers have seen the viral content. My boss called me in yesterday and expressed concern about the company being associated with a viral Bridezilla. I had to show her the real photos to prove I wasn't lying. It was humiliating. I talked to my friend who's a lawyer, and she thinks I need to defend myself publicly by releasing the real, unedited wedding content, including the videos that clearly show Alyssa's behavior. David, my husband, fully supports this and says we should stop caring about keeping the peace, since Alyssa clearly doesn't care about that at all. I'm just scared that if I do this, I'll permanently destroy my relationship with both Alyssa and possibly my parents. But at the same time, what relationship is there to save at this point? Has anyone dealt with something like this before? I'm literally losing sleep over this. How do I defend myself without looking vindictive? Edit. Since so many people are asking, yes, I have screenshots of the text messages where she planned this. The exact quote was, "I've been planning something that will finally get me noticed at Megan's wedding. Her photographer is pretty well connected, and I need to stand out in the photos." Then her friend asked, "What are you going to do?" And she replied, "I'm thinking white dress, maybe even something with a train, lol." Can you imagine the drama? It'll be perfect shareable content. Now for the second update. It's been about a month since my last post, and holy shit, so much has happened. I don't even know where to start. First, I want to say thank you to everyone who commented and messaged me. Your support literally gave me the courage to finally stand up for myself after a lifetime of just not doing that. This is going to be long, sorry in advance, but I feel like I owe you guys the full story after all your advice. So after my last post, I spent like a week just organizing all the evidence I had. The wedding photos, the text messages where she planned to wear white months in advance, videos from the wedding, everything. I made this super detailed timeline with all the receipts showing exactly what happened versus what Alyssa was claiming on social media. I even got statements from our wedding photographer and wedding planner who were both furious when they saw how Alyssa was twisting everything. I decided to try one last time to handle this privately. I sent the whole package directly to Alyssa with a message saying she had 48 hours to take down all her false content and post a real apology, or I'd be sharing everything publicly, you guys. She sent back laughing emojis, like literally just, and then a voice message where she was practically snickering, saying my amateur documentation wouldn't convince anyone and that I should stick to being boring, while she handles the creative side of life. I still have the message saved, and hearing it still makes me so mad, my hands shake. So I did it. I posted everything, but I was strategic about it. I waited until last Wednesday when Alyssa was doing this big sponsored live event with some wedding dress company. I posted my evidence across Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok all at once, and I timed it for right in the middle of her live. The response was overwhelming. Like within hours, wedding communities were sharing my post. By morning, 3 different wedding blogs had picked up the story. My original post got shared thousands of times. I was honestly shocked. Then our wedding photographer released an official statement on her business page confirming everything I said and describing how Alyssa had been disruptive during the ceremony and reception. She even shared a few additional photos she hadn't sent me initially that showed Alyssa literally shoving other bridesmaids out of the way to center herself in photos. By Friday evening, 3 of Alyssa's major sponsors announced they were pausing their partnerships pending an investigation. Her follower count dropped by almost 30K in 3 days. I wasn't even trying to destroy her career or whatever. I just wanted people to know the truth. But I guess the truth was pretty damning. But that's not even the craziest part. After I posted everything, all these people started coming forward with similar stories about Alyssa. Like one girl from college said Alyssa wore red to her traditional Chinese wedding, where wearing red is a huge no-no because it's the bride's color. Another former friend said Alyssa announced a fake engagement at her baby shower. Apparently, she's been pulling this kind of stuff for years. Our wedding planner even sent me documentation of all these behind-the-scenes demands Alyssa had made that I didn't even know about. Like, she insisted the bridesmaids' bouquets be smaller than initially planned, so they wouldn't compete with her accessories. Who does that? But the biggest news came last weekend. I was helping my parents with some financial paperwork. My dad had a minor health scare, he's fine now, and I found something that made my stomach drop. There were statements showing that the money Alyssa had supposedly been giving my parents from her successful influencer business was actually their money. They had been giving her thousands from their retirement fund as an investment in her career, and she was just giving them small amounts back while pretending it was her earnings. And that's not all. The bank statements showed Alyssa had used a big chunk of that money for cosmetic procedures she claimed were sponsored. I felt like I was going to throw up when I saw all this. It was like a whole new level of manipulation. I couldn't just sit on this information. So we had a confrontation at my parents' house. My dad called Alyssa over while I was there. She didn't know I would be there. When she walked in and saw me, her face just dropped. My dad put all the financial documents on the table and told her we needed to talk about them. Alyssa tried to play it off at first, claiming there was a misunderstanding about which account was being used. But then my mom, who never confronts Alyssa, asked her directly if she'd been lying about her income this whole time. Alyssa immediately tried to change the subject to me ruining her reputation, but my dad, again, shocking, cut her off and demanded answers about their retirement money. That's when Alyssa broke down. She started crying and admitted she needed the procedures to stay competitive in the influencer space and claimed she was going to pay it all back once she got big enough. I showed them proof that several sponsored posts Alyssa had done weren't actually sponsored. I had contacted the companies directly, and they confirmed they had no relationship with her. I also had DMs from a former friend of hers where Alyssa bragged about faking sponsorships. Then Alyssa tried to blame them, saying it was their fault she needed attention because they had always made her feel like she had to be special to be loved. The irony of her finally admitting this while trying to blame them, I can't even. My mom started crying and said they had failed as parents, and my dad got really quiet before telling Alyssa she needed to take responsibility for her actions and what she did to me and them was wrong. Alyssa stood up and told them they needed to choose right now between her and boring Megan, saying they couldn't have both of us. For the first time in my entire life, my parents didn't automatically take her side. My dad said they weren't choosing anyone. They just wanted her to be honest and make things right. Alyssa stormed out, saying they'd regret choosing me over her. She slammed the door so hard, a picture fell off the wall. It was actually a picture of her, which feels weirdly symbolic. In the aftermath of all this, my parents have made the difficult decision to cut financial ties with Alyssa. They've asked her to move out of the family-owned apartment she's been living in rent-free. They gave her 60 days notice, which I think is more than fair. And they've started going to therapy to work through how they enabled her behavior for so many years. They've apologized to me multiple times for dismissing my feelings all this time. It's weird and uncomfortable, and I don't fully trust it yet, but it's something. We're trying. As for Alyssa's career, it's basically over. She's lost all her major sponsorships. Her follower count has dropped below 50K and keeps falling. Her engagement is basically non-existent now. I heard through a mutual friend that she had to take a regular marketing job at some local company. She's moved in with a friend and still posts occasionally about being a victim of family betrayal, but hardly anyone engages with those posts anymore. I have such complicated feelings about all of this. On one hand, I feel vindicated that finally people see the truth. On the other hand, I'm sad that it had to come to this. I never wanted to destroy my relationship with my sister. I just wanted her to stop lying about me. David, my husband, has been incredible through all of this. We're focusing on our marriage and trying to move forward. My relationship with my parents is slowly getting better. We're setting actual boundaries for the first time in our lives, and they seem to be respecting them. The door is open for reconciliation with Alyssa if she ever takes genuine responsibility for her actions, but I'm not holding my breath. Some mutual friends have told me she's still insisting she did nothing wrong and that we're all jealous of her success. So, yeah, I want to thank this community again for giving me the courage to stand up for myself. This whole experience taught me that advocating for myself doesn't make me a bridezilla. It makes me someone with actual self-respect. Oh, and David and I are planning a small vow renewal for our first anniversary with only supportive friends and family. We're trying to reclaim some of what Alyssa's actions took from our original celebration. I'm actually excited about it. Edit. A lot of people are asking how my parents reacted when they first saw the evidence about the wedding. They were in shock, honestly. My mom kept saying, "But that's not how Alyssa described it," over and over. My dad was completely silent for like 20 minutes just looking through everything. Then he just said, "We've been blind." It was intense. Edit 2. To everyone asking if I feel guilty about ruining her career, I didn't ruin anything. She did this to herself. All I did was tell the truth with evidence to back it up. And honestly, her career was built on lies anyway. So was it even real to begin with? Edit 3. Some people are asking about legal action regarding the money she took from my parents. They've decided not to pursue that route for now. I think they feel partially responsible since they gave her the money willingly, even if it was under false pretenses. They just want to focus on healing our family if possible. Edit 4. Thank you for all the awards and messages. I'm trying to respond to as many as I can. Also, just wanted to clarify, when I say Alyssa's career is over, I don't mean she's destitute or anything. She still has 50K followers, which is significant. But in the influencer world, going from 120K to 50K is basically starting over, especially when engagement is down. And more importantly, brands don't want to work with someone who's been exposed as dishonest. Trust is everything in that industry. Edit 5. For those asking for proof, I'm not comfortable sharing the actual evidence publicly for privacy reasons, and honestly legal ones too. But trust me, it was comprehensive and irrefutable. I'm not just making this up for internet points. I wish this whole situation was made up.